This is episode 62. Hello, listeners. You are with myself, Stephen.
And myself, Thomas.
And we will be talking today about the changing climate in the UK. Probably the US as well, and Australia, because we're all spinning as one community.
And we all need to know what's going on with the different changes in bits of climate and how that affects us.
Yeah, we definitely do. I thought myself before, I want to just say thank you to our listeners at the beginning rather than at the end, because I do thank you for tuning in and listening to me and Thomas drivelling on about whatever takes our fancy in our god-awful Scouse accents.
Yep.
Tuning in week after week. I appreciate it. I get lots of messages from around the world saying thank you for doing the podcast. It's really interesting and I love it. So thank you very much to all you guys that take the time to message us, and thank you for tuning in and listening to us. Stay tuned, we're talking about the weather. Okay, Thomas, the weather.
The weather, right. For everybody who's listening thinking, oh my God, why are these talking about the weather? What's this got to do with anything? Well, the reason why we're talking about the weather, because in the UK, particularly for us, our weather changes through seasons can be quite drastic. Temperatures can drop or soar quite considerably. Now, the reason why this is important, obviously, because you want to know whether to wear your Bermuda shorts on outside or your raincoat.
Put your sunglasses on.
Yeah, because as an indoor grower, the weather temperatures outside affect our temperature of our indoor grow rooms.
Absolutely. And for the people that listen and have allotments, the Giant Vegetable Society, who've grown the world record pumpkins and cucumbers and chilies, what they're starting to do as well, they've been taking our advice. You can, if you follow the Giant Vegetable Society on Facebook, you can see that they've got a gorgeous new home box tent, and Ian Neal started testing or using the tent to get the seeds going.
Don't say too much, Steve, because we don't want to give any of his secrets away.
Oh no,
because his enemy will be trying to.
Who's his enemy?
Everybody.
And Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
No, they're good friends, but Snoop Dogg tried to have a chat with Ian Neal about his top tips for growing super big vegetables, didn't he?
Yeah, he did indeed.
So that's why Ian Neal's famous. And you can follow these guys, they're doing really good stuff, but get back to the point. They've invested in our technology, in our grow tents, in our lighting systems, because like we say on nearly every other podcast, growing indoors extends the growing season, and that's what we're doing now. And
allows you to manipulate it to whatever temperature, environment, climate you want it to be.
Absolutely. And I think he's got his onions. Onions are doing really well at the moment, really big as well in trailer supports, and you wouldn't think you'd have really nice looking onions at this time of year, would you? In the UK, the temperatures at the moment are about 0 degrees Celsius, 1 degree Celsius. It's absolutely freezing. And every time I get on the phone to Eric from Canada, he's like, man, that's really warm. You guys got your shorts on? And I'm going to apologise for the terrible accent, but he's suffering minus 30 degrees Celsius. Minus 30 degrees Celsius he's chilling with.
And then we've got the guys in California.
Like probably plus 30s, plus 35s. So different all around the world. But I can guarantee one thing. Your seasons and the humidity and your CO2 levels and your temperatures, they're all going to change. No matter where you live in the world, they change depending on what sort of season you're in.
And a top tip as well for being a grower, cultivator, is the more attention you pay to the outdoor temperature and climate and environment, the better grower cultivator you will be. I always say you need to be like Columbo, Inspector Columbo, when you're passionate about growing and cultivating and stuff, is because continuously when you come back to your grow room or your vegetable patch or whatever you might have, as soon as you step into that zone, you're looking straight away. You're looking to see if everything looks okay. If something doesn't look too right, you're instantly, subconsciously assessing through a set of criteria. You're thinking, oh, have I overwatered it? Is it too cold? Is it too hot? And whatnot. And that's why I always say you need to be like a detective. Well, this is why we're doing this podcast, because there's a big change coming up just soon, and I just want to get all of our guys ready for it in the UK, because we constantly have issues coming up to the summer. Oh my god, my plants are really dry all of a sudden, and I can't do this, and it's not looking right. And we've said to them, well, have you realised that we've went from one climate to another climate in the space of a few weeks? And oh no, I never thought of that. Well, that's why we're doing this, to let you know that things are going to be changing again soon.
Well, I think I've got to the reason. I think I've got to the source of the problems for the UK people. We tend to have we apparently have 4 seasons.
Do we?
Winter, spring, summer, and autumn. But that's not the case. We have bloody cold and bloody hot. Yeah. There's not really a nice intermediate.
But the bloody hot's only for about 3 weeks.
3 weeks, and it's probably around May, April time, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then it goes nice in June, July. It's madness. It probably has something to do with global warming, but that's for another podcast.
Yes.
But
well, we know it is something to do with global warming, but
I think I've got to the point of it. People get used. So right now, we're going to tell people how to prepare for the warmer climates. So to prepare for the warmer climates, you're going to have plants that, to use the long word, the increased evapotranspiration. They're going to be sweating a lot more. They're going to be taking up water a lot quicker. Therefore, you have to water a little bit more often. You have to invest in better extraction equipment.
A lot of things change. So basically, you go from one end of the scale to another end of the scale
very quickly.
Very quickly. People tend to ignore that
and forget
constantly.
You know what I've noticed going back 3-4 months is that people, the cultivators, the growers, they got used to the hot temperatures.
Yeah.
And they started treating the plants accordingly.
But they bought bigger extractor fans, which is all good, which is great stuff.
And then, but what I've noticed they've been doing is they've been watering more, which is correct when you're in a warmer climate, a warmer zone. But then they carry on that into the winter when it goes much cooler and the plant doesn't drink as much. So
then the room temperature is a lot less.
Yeah.
They're watering a lot more. So what's happening? Oh, you're going to get yellow Pythium plants because your plant can't
uptake as much water and as much nutrients.
Yeah.
You probably might going to suffer with deficiencies in some cases. So that's my top tip: is be aware and don't get stuck in one climate. You get stuck when it goes from cold to hot, and then you adjust.
Well, I always say
to adjust from hot to cold.
Yeah. Well, I always say to the customers, it's like having 2 sets of equipment. You have your summer grow equipment and you have your winter grow equipment. The same as the way we have different sets of clothing for the summer as we do for the winter. You need to adjust. They're only small adjustments.
I just want to dig a little bit deeper. What clothes do you put on your plants in the summer?
Bermuda shorts.
Oh, I'm sure.
So they can transpire nice and easily and freely and stop me getting boat leaf. That's when your leaves become
upturned
and very
boatish.
Boatish. They look boaty-ish. What type of
stressed?
Boat? Yeah, they look very stressed.
Canoe.
Yeah, and they're very ruffled. The leaves, instead of being flat as a piece of paper, they're very puffed up and
very noticeable. You can notice that there's a difference, even to the people who've failed detective school. It's easily noticeable. So that's a good observation there.
Also, we're coming into the summer, humidity and stuff becomes a lot greater.
More energy in the atmosphere, more heat, allows more water to be held into the atmosphere.
People who are listening and don't know what humidity is,
check back to our humidity podcast when we bore you to death with vapour pressure deficit, and then Thomas manages to cut in and breaks it down into nice easy chunks.
And if you are one of those people who doesn't know what humidity is, you are not at the peak of your possibility in the growing
arena.
Yes.
You have also failed to download episode 50-ish, which is humidity. So get your ass into gear and listen to the humidity podcast. We're not going to harp on about it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, humidity, as Thomas says, is a very important issue to consider in the changing environments. Another one, the main one really, is temperature, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, temperatures go up. in the summer, in our summer anyway. So therefore, you need to maybe invest a little bit more money into an extraction fan, a more powerful extraction fan.
Maybe or upgrade the intake fan, or maybe how many intake fans you have.
It's even, you'll notice that what we do is we advise our customers just to remember that summer's around the corner.
Also supplement lighting, different types of styles of lighting, so maybe, because it can be really difficult in the summer to a point of where you've got a choice. You can continue using 10 lights with a temperature of 35, 40 degrees, which very slowly you are torturing your plant to a point of no return. Or you can make a clever, wise option and maybe reduce the amount of light and replace it with something a lot lower level, i.e. maybe a red CFL or LED or
light emitting plasma.
Yeah, there's a few variations, but this is just some of the things that we want to bring up just to your attention, so you can consider these if you're not having issues with temperature. If you're not, if you are somebody who adjusts their things accordingly, excellent, well done.
But think smart rather than thinking hard.
Yeah.
Rather than going through all the books and listening to the podcasts day in and day out to try and remember what we've been saying. Think smart before you think hard. Thinking smart basically means spend money in the right places at the right time. So what Thomas did and has done throughout in the tobacco factory that he runs is he gave the guys in the tobacco factory the size of fan and filter that he needed to extract all the hot air. And one of the guys said, who's an extraction specialist, said, "Oh, well, that seems a little bit too much extraction at the moment. It's really cool and we don't need that extraction. We can probably save a bit money by getting a smaller extraction fan." But Thomas correctly pointed out that the summer will also be, are we stopping growing tobacco plants in the summer? Is that what your plan is? Obviously not. You need to have a fan. So what we could do is get you the small fan for the winter, and then you can pay me some more money and I'll get you the bigger fan in the summer. Or you can just listen to what I'm telling you and buy the big fan. We can dim it down for the winter when we don't need it full power, and when we do in the summer, we can just turn it up. Think smart before you think hard.
Yeah. Also, as well, with the point that I mentioned, with the large amount of light and stuff like that, I still constantly see people who pursue a large amount of light, which allows the plant to grow in a really, really bad environment. If that is you, it's better to have a plant in only maybe one light, or for one light, for instance, than to have this plant grow in an environment that it doesn't like.
Yeah.
You will get a happier plant if you basically make it a living environment, its growing environment, a lot more pleasant.
Well, if we could use this analogy of me on my holidays, I've been to a few hot countries. The hottest place I've ever been to is Egypt.
Okay.
And we went there stupidly in August. Egypt in August is a very, very hot place. Topped out at about 48 degrees Celsius on a few days. On those days, do you know what we did? We went out on the skis and we were jumping about and we were doing all sorts. No, we were in the shade using as little energy as possible, trying our best to stay cool with a few little dips into the pool. We did absolutely nothing on those couple of days. But on the holidays where it's a nice temperature, 35 degrees or 30 degrees, a nice warm temperature but not too hot, we were out and about, we were walking, we were visiting shops, we were doing activities on the sea, we were doing all sorts. It's lovely and warm and we could still cope with the heat. I imagine it's the same for the plants. When it gets
Hold
too
on,
hot,
let me just sort this out a minute, Stephen, because I just don't want our listeners to start taking the plants down the shops when it's 30 degrees, do you know what I mean? Taking them out for a little swim. He's not saying that, he's using it as a metaphor, just to say that.
When it was hot, I did nothing. I stayed still, didn't move, and tried to conserve my energy.
Because that was a bad environment for you.
Bad environment for me to be in. But in a nicer environment, I was up and about and I was doing stuff. So give your plants the nice.
You found it a lot easier to breathe and move, eat, drink.
Your shirt wasn't soaking with perspiration, feeling sticky. And
so your body was running efficiently the way it should, perfectly.
Exactly. And that's the same for plants. Put them into a nice environment. Don't make it too hot because they're just not going to move. Even worse, they'll die on you. like Columbo says, and one more thing. Is that what Columbo says?
No.
He turns around and goes,
Isn't
one
that-
other thing.
Yeah,
And then he gets them, doesn't he?
he gets them.
I'm going to get yous.
Yeah.
One other thing. CO2. CO2 produced by plants out in nature. Now, in autumn, trees lose all the leaves, and therefore respiration slows down, and CO2 concentrations will drop. This is just something to bear in mind. Coming into the summer, CO2 concentrations are going to go up, so maybe you might want to tune down the CO2 supplementation, or if you've got a hot environment, you might want to increase CO2 supplementation. It's based on where you are from, whether it's the US or Australia or the UK. We've got to be very generic now, haven't we, Thomas?
Yeah.
So it's basically keep an eye on your weather.
Become the weatherman or woman.
And just have a look at what's happening by you. Because even in the UK, Cornwall and the southern UK can be really nice and warm. And
For a lot, well, we know that in our actually summer period, we only see a little bit, but we know that the south coast sees a lot of nicer weather and such. So, and then when you go further up north, i.e. Scotland and stuff, they just get battered with really cold temperatures, snow. So it varies across the globe. But what we're trying to say to everybody across the whole world is that you individually, as a person, if you are a grower or cultivator, you every day of your life need to be a weatherman or weatherwoman.
2 top tips for being a weatherman and a weatherwoman. Come on, Thomas.
Check your temperature every day.
And I was going to actually talk about 2 pieces of equipment, but I had another brain fart and my brain froze.
A thermometer, hygrometer.
Good piece of kit. Maybe have one outside. There's a good and lovely piece of kit for all the Apple lovers out there. Don't know if Rick, our editor, is a big Sony fan, so he's snarling me now.
Yeah, he's not in our
gang. Don't know if you've got this lovely piece of kit, but you can tell me later if you have. Apple have produced this weather station.
Ooh.
You get 2. You put one outside and one inside. One in your greenhouse and one outside your greenhouse, or wherever you want to put them. And you can get you link it to your Wi-Fi, and it comes up on your phone, the inside temperature and the outside temperature, the humidity and the CO2 levels, the quality of the air, and you can get it all in a nice. So no matter where you are in the world, you can see where you're growing your plants. You can see what the temperatures are like.
I've got my Garmin Phoenix 2 on, and it tells me my outside temperature.
Nice bit of kit.
So every day I get up in the morning and I look at my watch, and I think, okay, inside the house it's X amount of temperature, and outside it's this. I know if there's any immediate differences from the previous days, any severe drops or rises, adjustments will need to be done at either our allotments or grow rooms or anywhere that needs addressing.
Cultivation
basically.
is occurring.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think when I look at my watch? Oh shit, I'm late. I'm going to get a bollocking from Thomas. That doesn't happen that often, no, honest.
Hello.
Any other top tips, Thomas, for the changing seasons? Covered temperature, covered humidity, touched on CO2, and basically our best tip is to become the weatherman or the weatherwoman. Look at your local environment, look at your local conditions, and make changes accordingly. So
yeah, that's it basically. Don't really need to harp on about it too much.
No.
It's just a top tip in general. If you are into growing your own vegetables or flowers or whatever, and just take into consideration that every day can be different with climate and temperature, humidity levels and so on. So just every day have a little check, see what they are, and make sure you're prepared for variations in these.
Good stuff. I would like to say, send me your pictures, because we're coming into the growing season for outdoor vegetables and super fruits and all kinds. So if you're growing stuff outdoors on your allotments or wherever you are in the world, send us your pictures and let us know how you're getting on.
And hopefully this summer we are going to get our first bunch of grapes off our grapevine.
How long was this? Was planted last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, last year.
So it should be thumbs up.
Fingers
crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Listen, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. We will be back next week when we talk all about the Barcelona Grow Show.
Thank you to all our listeners worldwide. A big thank you once again.
Cheers, guys. Speak to you soon.
Stay tuned.